Welcome to our movie recap channel, your ultimate destination for in-depth and engaging movie summaries, whether you're looking to catch up on the latest blockbusters or revisit classic films.
The film opens someplace in Germany, where we see our hero, Malina, inside the storage compartment of a vehicle. She has no clue about where she is or how she arrived, and she understands that she can't move her legs. All of a sudden, Malina sees a baffling man somewhere far off who is coming towards her.
She likewise sees her telephone in a plastic bag close by, alongside her other possessions. As the man proceeds to break the side view mirror of the vehicle, she quickly grabs her telephone.
The man then throws the mirror into the storage compartment and takes a sip from a bourbon bottle while Malina pretends to be unconscious. He discards Malina's assets, unaware that she has recovered her telephone. Malina then feels the vehicle moving, and as she checks her telephone, she sees the ultrasound photograph she got from her pregnant sister Mun. Malina promptly calls her sweetheart, Enno, but he doesn't pick up. All at once, she sees Enno's cap inside the storage compartment and becomes worried that something awful has happened to him. Malina uses all her strength to open the storage compartment, but to no avail. Minutes later, she gets a call from her sister Mun, who starts discussing the ultrasound and how small the baby was. Malina interrupts her and informs her that she has been kidnapped and is trapped in a vehicle trunk. She earnestly requests that her sister contact the police, but sadly, Mun thinks she's joking and asks why she can't just be happy for her pregnancy without making everything about herself. Frustrated, Malina attempts to call the emergency helpline, but realizes her telephone unexpectedly has no signal. She tries to understand why she's paralyzed. As a doctor herself, she quickly concludes that she was injected into the spinal cord and tranquilized. While trying to get out, Malina finds her action camera in the storage compartment and plays it. She sees recordings of her and Enno's recent trip and feels happy. She misses him a lot and starts to wonder if he might be okay. Not long after, she finds footage of when the kidnapper attacked them. The man assaults Enno and then approaches Malina, who is inside the vehicle with a hidden camera. He then threatens her with a gun and forces her to drink water. Here, Malina suspects the water probably caused her unconsciousness. The man then picks her up and places her in the storage compartment. For a moment, Malina sees his face on the video and snaps his picture with her telephone. All of a sudden, she gets a message from Mun, who has sent a WikiHow article about how to slip out of the storage compartment of a vehicle. Malina resents the message and then sends a voice message stating that she's dead serious about her situation, along with her current location, but the signal drops again. She then carefully reads the WikiHow article about the steps to escape. She tries every technique mentioned in the article, such as opening the lock from inside or pushing the brake lights out, but it's much harder than it seems. Minutes later, Malina gets the signal again and receives a call from her father, but she quickly tells him she will call him back. She hurriedly dials the emergency service and talks with an operator named Elisa. Malina explains that she's been kidnapped and is trapped in a vehicle trunk, while her legs feel numb. When asked how she was kidnapped, Malina explains that she and her sweetheart Enno were planning a 6-month vacation in South America. They hitchhiked to the airport, but the person who offered them a lift turned out to be a criminal. Elisa then asks whether she remembers the license plate or can describe the vehicle. Malina can recall the vehicle being dark green, with no right side mirror. Unfortunately, Elisa explains that they can't track her location and asks where she is. Malina then looks at the map, but she can only describe a large area that she can't detail, while they can see the nearest cell tower to her. All of a sudden, Malina gets another call from her father, so she puts Elisa on hold. He's worried and mentions getting a disturbing message about her. Since he doesn't approve of her relationship with Enno, he thinks they're making excuses to elope. Malina clarifies that she's in serious trouble, so her father reveals that he got an anonymous message demanding 250,000 euros for her return. He thinks it might be the work of someone called the Gabriels, with whom they have a feud. However, Malina doesn't think so. After this, Malina sends him a photograph of the kidnapper and urges him to forward it to the police, but he hesitates. Father says he will pay the money, but he's afraid they might have tapped their phones and will harm her if he calls the police. Irritated, she ends the call with him and with Elisa as well. Later, Malina uses her telephone's flashlight to figure out what happened, and she is horrified to find a large wound near her abdomen on the left side. She realizes that she has been operated on,
and the kidnappers have used staples to attach the skin, causing her to lose a significant amount of blood.
Feeling helpless, she pours alcohol on her wound and holds back her screams. Suddenly, she hears the kidnapper talking to someone, stating that he has removed the kidney and will be at the location at 4:30 am, which is in an hour. Malina then opens her shoe and decides to use her medical skills to stitch up the wound. To calm herself down, she plays a sweet voice message from Enno that he had sent her a long time ago. In pain, she begins to stitch her wound, threading her shoelace through each staple one by one. She hears Enno expressing his love for children and his desire to have at least 3 kids with her from the voice message. Despite the pain, she manages to secure the stitching with an earring and eventually stops the bleeding. Minutes later, Elisa calls again, and Malina claims that her organ might have been removed and believes they are some kind of organ traffickers. Additionally, the kidnapper was talking to someone and saying he would be at a location at 4:30 am. Elisa continues reassuring her, saying she's doing her best to help. Suddenly, the vehicle stops, and Malina realizes they must be at a gas station, so Elisa asks her to make some noise. Malina then starts screaming and asking for help. But soon, the storage compartment door is opened, and it's the kidnapper. He tells Malina that no one will hear her and asks her to stay calm because he doesn't want loud noises. At that moment, Elisa starts talking on the telephone, so Malina starts screaming and carefully hangs up. The man mentions that he needs her alive for now and touches her wounds, causing her more pain. He tells her it's better to stay quiet and closes the storage compartment again. Frustrated, Malina starts screaming, so the kidnapper responds by playing loud music, irritating her further. Finally, Enno messages her, claiming he is fine and they are watching him. This news makes Malina very happy, and she immediately informs Elisa about it. Enno was also being held captive at an unknown location. Following this, Elisa tells Malina that they were able to locate the gas station they were at earlier and that her colleagues are coming. She also explains that they have contacted Malina's father, who has given them a photograph of the kidnapper. Her father mentioned seeing this man wandering outside his hospital 2 weeks earlier. Hearing this, Malina realizes the kidnapper has been following her for a while. Elisa then discusses with Malina about her father's suspicion of the Gabriels and asks about who they are. In response, our heroine reveals that she made a mistake during her second emergency operation, which resulted in the death of a little girl. Consequently, her family, the Gabriels, blamed Malina and filed a lawsuit against her. She admits that she felt so guilty that she considered abandoning her medical career entirely. She also shares how Enno supported her and encouraged her to return to work. To calm Malina down, Elisa asks how the two met, and Malina reveals that Enno became so inebriated at a party that he ended up passing out. He was then admitted to the hospital, and she was the one who treated him. Malina also reveals that her family is completely against their relationship. During their conversation, Elisa suddenly shouts and instructs her colleagues to set up roadblocks at various locations. Malina is scared by this, as she believed that her father will pay the ransom, and asks about the need for roadblocks, but the call disconnects. Disappointed, Malina texts Enno to call the police and request an administrator named Elisa. Minutes later, she decides to get a few tools from under the storage compartment. She gets a tire tool and uses it to remove the cover for the taillight. She then starts beating the inside of the taillight. The hijacker turns up the radio again to silence her, but she manages to break the taillight and can see what's happening outside. Malina then puts her hand outside and starts to shout for help, which is soon noticed by a man behind their vehicle. The man quickly leaves his vehicle and rushes towards her to help. However, the hijacker runs this man over and speeds away, causing chaos on the road. Shortly after, Malina attempts to call Elisa again, but she gets an error stating that the number is not recognized. At this moment, she receives a message stating that she has crossed Germany and arrived in the Czech Republic, which means she no longer has access to emergency services. Not long after, Elisa calls her with her personal number and asks if the highway accident was caused by her kidnapper. Malina confirms it and feels hopeless, claiming she will die soon. Elisa tries to calm her down, but Malina gets frustrated and breaks a mirror. After this, she realizes something and uses a shard of the broken mirror to see the license plate number. She manages to get it and records it using her blood. Suddenly, Malina receives a very strange call from Enno,
who claims to be talking to her father. He begs Malina's father to pay the ransom for his daughter's safety.
Surprisingly, Enno explains that he is also in a vehicle and claims they will be killed if stopped by the police. Shortly after, Malina gets a call from Elisa, who informs her that her father has paid the ransom, but they haven't received any response from the kidnappers. She also reveals that the kidnapping seems to have nothing to do with the Gabriels. Elisa admits that they have set up roadblocks everywhere and now just need the license plate number. Malina stares at the license plate number but recalls what Enno said and decides not to share it. Minutes later, Malina gets a text from Enno, urging her to stay calm so they'll have a chance to escape. They then reach a checkpoint where a police officer questions the driver about the attractive man sitting next to him and requests to see their passports. Although this is her perfect opportunity to take action, Malina decides to listen to her boyfriend and stays silent. Then, the kidnapper begins driving away, and Malina again reviews the camera footage. To her regret, as the hijacker puts her in the storage compartment, she notices Enno walking casually behind the kidnapper. All of a sudden, she gets another call from Elisa, who mentions that they have identified the vehicle, and her colleagues will soon find her. Malina then asks about the number that demanded the ransom from her father. After being pressed, Elisa starts reciting the number, and Malina astonishingly finds that it belongs to Enno. Here, she is upset that her beloved boyfriend has betrayed her trust. At this point, Elisa asks if Malina can hear the sounds of water, and Malina realizes that the vehicle is now on a ferry crossing a lake. Elisa and her team know where she is but can't get to her. Malina is on the verge of giving up, but Elisa assures her that she cannot forgive herself if anything happens to her. Shortly after their call disconnects, Malina texts Enno, asking him to tell her the truth. She then hears someone getting out of the vehicle and gets a call from Enno, who finally admits that he is involved in her kidnapping. Enno apologizes for his actions, revealing that the kidnapping wasn't supposed to unfold this way. He explains that the plan was to release her after getting the ransom money, and he had no idea about the kidney. Hearing this, Malina asks why he did this, and Enno confesses that he is in debt and involved in shady deals with dangerous people. Malina is devastated, and she begs him to help her escape. She tells him that her father has a large amount of money in his trust assets, which he will give to the kidnapper. Unfortunately, Enno doesn't care about her and claims that letting her go is his only chance of survival. After the call, Malina realizes she can't give up so easily. So, she sends Enno a picture of her sister's ultrasound and claims to be pregnant with their child. She knows he loves kids more than anything else in the world, and she decides to use this against him. Enno then asks if she is serious about this, so Malina admits that it is true, and that she intended to tell him during their vacation. Malina declares that he will be the cause of his child's death and hangs up the phone, leaving Enno puzzled. In the next scene, we see Enno sitting in the front seat with the kidnapper. He suggests that if they release Malina, they will get much more money, but the kidnapper declines. The kidnapper claims that the girl has already seen his face, so he won't let her go at any cost. In a last-ditch effort, Enno reveals that Malina is pregnant, but the kidnapper doesn't care. Then, to save his supposed child, Enno suddenly pulls the vehicle's handbrake, resulting in a chaotic crash. Just as the vehicle crashes, the storage compartment opens and Enno appears before her. But before they can say anything, the kidnapper shoots Enno from behind. He then dumps his body in the storage compartment and wishes them a good time. When the kidnapper starts driving, Enno dies in the storage compartment. Malina cries and begs him not to leave her and asks why he did this to her. She then finds a knife in his pocket, which she uses to cut the upholstery under. When she manages to do so, she's able to see the wheel from inside. It's 4 minutes before 4:30 am. Malina records an apology video for her family using the camera. She admits that she has made many bad decisions in her life, but she says she was just in love. She tells Mun that she would have loved to be an aunt and meet her child. Malina also states that if she dies, it won't be Elisa's fault and insists that this message be sent to her. After this, Malina decides to risk her life in a final attempt to save herself. She reaches for the toolbox at the storage compartment's base and inserts a long iron bar into one of the wheels. This way, the driver loses control and the vehicle heads out into the lake. Soon, the vehicle begins to flood, and Malina's leg has also regained feeling as the drugs have worn off. She kicks through the back seat and swims past the kidnapper. He appears to be unconscious and seems he will drown soon. Malina then emerges from the cracked windshield and rises to the surface.
As the police arrive at the scene, the film comes to an end.